No, Rabbi, all good from mine.
Okay, so let's do a quick recap of what we did in the last session. So last session, we continued with your Ansible. So we looked at your ad hoc commands as well as your playbooks. And then we looked at the different sections we have in your Ansible playbooks, and then what it does, what's the whole point of these different sections. We discussed about that as well. So we have the target section, we have the variable section, we have the task section, and then we have your handler section, right? So we have looked at examples for each of these things, and that is where we had stopped. I hope everything is clear. Sharing my screen, I hope you guys can see my screen. The next thing we are going to talk about is your system facts. Now, what are system facts? System facts are simply your information about your remote machines. So, if you want to get the system properties of your remote machines, as to what OS it is running, what's the RAM capacity, what's the network. So all that system related information, if you want to capture that, we have your system facts for that purpose. Okay, so the facts, they contain useful details, such as your storage information, your network configuration about your remote machines. So you can have this information stored in a file, and then you can start using this with your playbook to make runtime decisions. For example, let's say you have Ubuntu machines, you have Red Hat machines, and then you have your Windows machine. But your requirement is that you want to execute the playbook only on the Windows machines or only on the Ubuntu machines. That's where we can make use of the system facts to get the information about that remote machine, and then make the decisions during the runtime. So facts, it's automatically called by your playbooks to gather useful variables about the remote machines, and you can also directly execute this to check what all variables that are available. So in our case, let's say if you want to see what all variables that are available, then this is the command. So Ansible all, so localhost is the Ansible machine, so we'll use all -m and then setup. So this will give us all the variables of the remote machine. So let's connect to the machine, and let's have a look at that. So now let's say I want all the information about this remote machine. So when I say information, your OS related information, your storage related information, so all the information related to that machine. If you want that, you can make use of your system facts for that. So let's see. Okay. That's the machine. Okay, so I'm inside the machine, and now let me run the command here. So I'll say Ansible all -m setup. Okay, so I'm telling all, meaning all the machines. Yum is your module, and then I want to check the setup. So setup is nothing but your system facts. So, oh, sorry, I need to pass the inventory file. So -i hosts. So now, if you look at this, this will give us a huge output. Okay, so there's a big output that will be returned. So let's wait for this. That's taking usually. Okay, so that's the information. So you can see for one machine, this is all the information or the system facts that we have. So some of the information, so you can see that's a lot of information, right? So you can see you have the private IP, that's your gateway, that's your IPv6 address. You can see the architecture of the machine. You can see the boot image. You can see the date and time of the machine. So again, you can see the private IP, the network related information, right? You can see, let's see what else we have. So this is your storage. Okay, so partitions XVDA1. So you can see a size 7.89 GB, which is close to 8 GB. That's the default storage we get. So here you can see 8 GB. So you can see the distribution. So that's my Ubuntu machine we are running, Debian. So all this information. So basically the system information, you can get that by making use of your system facts. And these information can be useful during the runtime when you're executing the playbook. And if you want to make certain decisions, you can make use of this system facts. Does it make sense?
Yes, Ravi.
So a large number of facts are output by default. So you can see this. That's a lot of information, right? So the number of facts provided is pretty impressive, but are not terribly useful on their own. So we can slim down the results. We can trim down these results by making use of your parameters. So let's say I want to see only the OS related information. So I can apply filter for it. So I can say Ansible all, and then I can say hyphen A. I want to apply my filter, and let's say I want to see only the OS related information because of star OS star. So that's basically a wildcard that I'm using. So anything that begins with OS and ends with OS, I want to see that information. So now this will only display the OS related information for us. So likewise, if you want to see only the storage related information or only the network related information, we can apply filter for it. And I'll show you how we can make use of this. So here you can see that's basically my OS related information. So you can see the OS family, that's my Debian, that's my vendor, BIOS version, that's my public key. So all this information. So you can see here GCOS, that's my Ubuntu. So OS related information. Now let's say I want to see only my IPv4, that is my network related information. So I can end this with the IPv4, and that will only show me any information that is ending with IPv4. Okay, so these can be useful to just get the information about the remote machine. So that's where we have your system facts, right? So just waiting for this output. Okay, so that's my only network related information. Okay, so there is my private IP, that's my gateway, that's my MAC address, and all that related information is available. So that's basically your system facts. Next, we have your dry run. Now, dry run can be used when you want to test your playbook, but without executing it. So you don't want to make any changes on the remote machines, but still you want to test it. How do we do that? So we can make use of this dry run where your Ansible will show the exact output as to what your playbook will do, but it will not make any changes on the remote machine. For example, let's say we will go ahead and update this file. Okay, so let's say this is an example for dry run. Okay, so I'm updating my index.html file. Now let's go ahead and run our playbooks. Ansible hyphen playbook hyphen I, and that's the playbook we wrote yesterday. And now I'll say hyphen hyphen check. So hyphen hyphen check is used to tell that I want to do a dry run. Now, when I run this playbook, what will happen is Ansible will execute this playbook as if it is making some changes. But because of this flag, it will not make any changes on the remote machine. So let's wait for this to complete. Okay, so yeah, for some reason it's a little slow today, but let's see. That's really slow. I'm gonna cancel this and let me check this Ansible. Hyphen and then hyphen I hosts. Let's check this. For some reason, it's seemingly very slow. Okay, let's try this. I'm sorry, it's really slow. Please bear with me. Yeah, it's very slow.
Ravi, the slowness is because of T2.micro machine, or is there any other reason?
No, that's what I'm trying to wonder because this is the same thing we were using yesterday and it was pretty fast.
Yeah.
Uh, so I'm just trying to understand why that's happening. But okay, now if you can see here, this copy status, it says changed. Okay, so whatever the new data that we have added, my Ansible is telling me that, hey, I've copied this to the remote machine. But now if I go and check the remote machine, or let's say I'll refresh this page, okay, you will see here I don't have that updated line. So this is basically where we make use of your dry run. So dry run can be used to test your playbook to understand the flow. What exactly your playbook will do when you execute this in real time, meaning on the servers actually. So now if I run this playbook again without this hyphen check, I would still get the same output. Okay, but now this change would actually happen on the server. Does that make sense?
Okay, now if you go refresh, there'll be
So now
definitely.
let me run this once again. Now here, if you see I'm not using the hyphen check flag. So now again, the output would be same, no changes. But now the change will actually take place on the server.
Okay, got it.
That's where, if you want to test your playbook for the flow, if you want to understand the changes that you have done, right? What impact it will have, what effect will it have? Will it work? Will it not work? It will fail. So instead of creating issues on the actual servers, you can test it out by making use of this dry run. Does it make sense?
Yes, Ravi.
So let's wait for this. I mean, this is gonna take some time. While we wait for that, let's look at some other options. The next thing we are going to look at is a lookup plugin. Now, see, declaring your variables, that's one thing, right? So with your variables, what happens is you declare your variable name and the value within the playbook itself. But if you don't want that to happen, if you want to maintain your variables in a separate file, like your playbook in one file and then the variables in another file, you can do that. But now how do we call those values? We make use of your lookup. So lookup can be used to tell Ansible that, hey, the values for this variable, it's available in this file. Go and look up that file and read the value from that particular file. Okay, so lookup plugins allow you to access the data which you have stored outside the playbook. So like all templating, these plugins are evaluated on the Ansible control machine and can include reading the file system as well as contacting external data stores and services. The data is then made available using the standard templating system in Ansible. So this lookup, it only works on the Ansible machine. You cannot do a lookup on your remote machines. Okay, so while we wait for that, so what we can do is, so the playbook that we were using yesterday, right? So the same playbook. So here you can say I've declared my variables. Now, instead of doing this, I can store the values for this in a separate file. So let's say, for example, this particular thing. Okay, so I'm not gonna store the value here. Okay, so I'll just declare the variable, but then the value I'm telling, hey, do a lookup. So this is how we declare it. So I'll tell I want to do a lookup. Where do you want to do a lookup? So I want to do a lookup on a file. And what's the path of that particular file? So my file, it's available here. So slash home slash Ubuntu, and let's call this as variable value. So I'm telling, hey, go and look for your variables in this particular path. It's a file and it is stored in this location. So what will happen is my Ansible will look for this file on the Ansible server in this particular path, and then whatever the value we have in that file, it will read that value and store it in your variable. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Ravi.
Okay, so coming back to this dry run, so you can see I still got the same output. Okay, so here also it should change, here also it should change, but now if we look at the actual server, my file will be updated. That's your dry run. Clear?
Yes, Ravi.
Okay. So let's look at an example for your lookup. So just give me a minute, sorry. So let's go to this playbook and now let me have this. Okay, and now we have to make sure that we create this file. So let me save this and then nano this file, and then let's say the value we would say let's say default hyphen jdk. So that's my value. So we're not declaring the variable name, it's just the value that we are declaring. Okay, so here is the variable value that we have created. Now let's execute the playbook. Now before I execute the playbook, you can see here I don't have the value. I've commented this out, so this will not be considered. This is where, and then we are calling this variable over here. So here it should show me default hyphen jdk. Okay, so let's quickly execute this. Let's just keep watching. I'll be back in a minute. Let's keep watching that. Yeah, I'm very sorry, guys. Really sorry I kept you waiting. Are you guys still here?
Yes, Ravi.
Okay, really sorry. We'll just continue for some more time and then we can wrap it up. Uh, but yeah, you can message failed, Ansible.errors expected. Oh, okay, sorry. So here, if you see there's a bracket that I'm missing, so I've opened the round bracket, but I've not closed it. So I'll need to close that. Sorry about that. Just give me a minute. The server needs to connect. So now let's go here. I'm missing a close bracket. Here, so that's what it is complaining about. Oh, sorry. Unreachable. Okay. Action timeout. Interesting. So there's some problem with the. Yes, that's definitely working. So I just want to reboot this. Just give me a minute. We'll quickly reboot it. For some reason, my Ansible is not able to connect to it. So let's just quickly reboot that. And then we'll try the ping once again. Okay. Okay, still timing out. The only thing I can see is stopping and starting the server once again. Yeah, so I'll have to stop and start it. Not sure what happened, but the worker machine seems to have lost the connection. So my Ansible is not able to connect to it. Let's stop it. We'll start it once again. And the only thing we'll have to change is the IP because the public IP will change. Now at an organization level, you don't have to worry about it because IP will not change. So, sometimes what happens is this can happen. There might be a lot of reasons. There might be an issue on AWS end, or the server might be in a hung status. So there might be multiple reasons. So, just stopping and starting the server for a brief period of time should fix the problems in our case also. But since we are using the public IP, the IP will change. So we'll have to update that in the inventory file. So let's just wait for that to become available. Okay, that's running, and there's my new IP. Let's take that. We'll go to the host file, and we're gonna replace this. that. And let's try pinging it once again. Okay, so that's working. Now let's try the playbook once again. Yeah. Yeah. So now you can see it's much faster. So if you look at this one, so this is what we were targeting. So if you look at the playbook, right? Package one, so we are calling this variable, and then the value for this we have stored in this particular file. So now what is happening is, because of this lookup, my Ansible is understanding that it's a file, and that file is present in this location, and then whatever the value we have stored in this particular file, it is taking that value and assigning it to this variable, and then subsequently when we are calling it, it is using that particular value. So this is where we can make use of your lookup. So lookups can be used whenever you want to read the data from outside the playbook, right? We make use of your lookups for that. Does it make sense?
Yes, Ravi.
Okay, I'm gonna stop here. Sorry, I was not able to cover much, but we'll continue tomorrow. So there are a few more things that we will talk about. So let's continue tomorrow. So today is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, right? I'm not sure if I will be able to complete this. Okay, it is what it is. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Okay. Again, sorry for
Fine.
today, and I'm sure I know that we have been uh, delaying the start of the session as well. I'll try to adjust that and see if we can get it started on time. Okay. So yeah, I'm sorry
No
for that.
problem, Ravi.
Cool.